I hope that dance can be the way that I get people to a raw and honest state, and maybe help them experience more joy, and also maybe tune into an inner voice that can guide them to living a life um, they love, with people around them that genuinely love them, because that's what it's done for me.
Recording here, recording there. Well, it is my pleasure and honor to have today's guest on, Miss Hailey Summers. Hailey, thank you for taking the time and energy out of your day to be here and just sit down and have this conversation.
Man, I appreciate you. I feel like this is gonna feel like a selection.
Yeah.
Like Joe K.
Yeah.
Easy going.
Yeah. No, I appreciate it. But yeah, I just want to, start by allowing you to take a moment to just brag on yourself right now. I know you're a very humble person, so I want you to just really brag on yourself right now. Give us a little breakdown of who you are and what it is you do.
Oh, man. Well, my name is Hailey Summers. I am a movement artist. Man, I don't know that anything else, I would call myself anything else. I've been loving, learning dance my whole life, and it's kind of just become this wonderful lifestyle that I live by, like a philosophy. About 4 years ago, I started a really great adventure called Discovery Movement, and that came from me falling in love with freestyle for the first time, and also like wanting to share it with the world. So Discovery Movement is essentially a movement curriculum that also I used as like a platform to host events in just like different kinds of spaces where dance happening, music is happening, and education can happen too. The basic idea of Discovery Movement is inspired by the elements of the earth, and from all of those elements, kind of curated a special technique or I guess exercise or lesson that uses the texture, maybe even emotional atmosphere or inspiration from those elements to help people discover different parts of themselves and develop their own movement language. Yeah, I think that's all I got.
Yeah. No, I love to hear that. And I know you mentioned that started for you about 4 years ago. But let's take it back even further. Where did dance kind of start for you? Like, when did you kind of pick up dance? Because dance can be a very instinctive and intuitive thing where people can pick it up from a young age. But obviously, you took the craft further in something you fell in love with. So for you, where did you feel like it started, and kind of when did you understand that, man, I'm really good at this?
I think I definitely fell in love with dance at a super young age. It's very hard for me to remember what life was like without dance. My mom, when I was like 3, almost 4 years old, noticed I was dancing around the house a lot. And, you want to nurture, I guess, your kids' different bursts of inspiration or excitement about certain things. You want your kid to fall in love with something, even if it just turns into a hobby. So my mom thought it would be a good idea to put me in ballet. So she put me in little ballet classes when I was 3 or 4. And I don't know, I was super, super shy as a kid. And so it gave me an opportunity to be confident and grow in my physical strength and knowledge without really having to say much. I was really nervous and scared to talk to people unless it was like my close family or maybe a couple friends. But I also gained my social skills from dance studios too, to where because I noticed, I was like, oh wait, like I'm kind of good, mom. You know, I started to get a little ego about it. I grew in my confidence to be able to talk to people later. Um, so I stuck with that same studio uh, for a long time. I think from age 3 to age like 15. And I never did competition dance. You know, I think that got super popular when I was like 11 or 12. Like So You Think You Can Dance was super big, but then you also had like World of Dance and what else? You started having those like dance moms like um put your kid in a little bikini and like
Mm-hmm.
sparkles on stage. I never did it for a trophy. And no shade to anybody who did competition dance growing up. Like you do what you do. But I was so grateful because my training was like specifically classical Russian technique in ballet. And I didn't really know or learn anything beyond ballet or jazz dance until I was much older, like high school. Um, that, you have the power of YouTube and TV, so you do see what kind of hip hop or street style influences, happen on MTV or the main stage. And so I saw it, but I didn't think that that was something that I was gonna do. I thought I was gonna be a ballerina like on a company in New York City ballet or in Europe somewhere touring. That was my dream when I was little, because I loved ballet so much. And uh, all of a sudden, I was 12 and Michael Jackson died. And I fell in love with funk for what felt like the first time. And that was like probably the most important thing that could have happened to me at 12 years old was figuring out who Michael Jackson was truly. And then it opened me up to, Motown, Stevie Wonder, Diana Ross, all of these incredible musicians and all of this lineage of like incredible soulful black music that I didn't grow up with. And it was the education and introduction of that because they were playing all, like, literally everything Michael Jackson you could think of. You was on MTV on loop, or all the documentaries, all of the concerts, all of the live interviews. And I realized I wanted to be an artist, and it wasn't that I wanted to be famous, but there was this level of magnetism and precision that magnetized the world, obviously, before I was even a thought. But then at that age, to be a new fan after his passing, it almost like it changed everything about who I wanted to be, in my dance, in my style, and what kind of impact I wanted to make on the world. And that, someone who loved music and was so good at music and dance, that if you love something enough, it showed me that you can change the world. And not a lot of people will ever do what he did, So Michael Jackson can be very controversial, but 12-year-old me, there was no better person,
Mm-hmm.
So after falling in love with funk, it made me move different. And I realized I can't do ballet if I'm gonna love all this music, I can't just do ballet because it's classical music. So I started grooving, and I wasn't calling it grooving, which is what I understood it to be later, you know. But um, I started just feeling music instead of trying to be so precise and technical about it. Ballet's so hard, so you do have to think, and you do have to have an incredible amount of discipline and structure about the way that you execute the dance. But something about moving to funk music, it held me accountable to the way that I felt. And I realized I wanted to feel effortless. You know, I just wanted to be easy and look like I'm not even breaking a sweat. Which kind of ballet helped me so much with that, because you're doing all of these difficult things, but you don't want them to see that you're sweating. You want to look beautiful and dainty, and I just wanted to look cool. You know, I wanted people, you know, I wasn't talking to a lot of people, but at this point, you know, people knew me to be the dancer or I guess like the talented girl that doesn't say much. And so I feel like I always wanted to take it a step further. I'm like, you haven't seen anything yet, you know? So yeah, I started moving differently. I started really like loving all those little pops and isolations he was doing. And, you know, I thought he invented everything, which is not true. But at that time, like Michael Jackson was my religion. And I emulated and regurgitated all that dance information and music out my body. And as I was growing through puberty, growing older, you know, towards my teens, towards high school, the music I listened to, the way that I dressed, and the way that I interacted with people shifted as well, just from purely focusing, I think, on the feeling over the technique. That was a big transition. That was, I think, Michael Jackson was the catalyst of. So then I found myself a sophomore in high school, kind of lost to like what to do. I've loved dance my whole life, and I wanna take it further, but I don't know where to go. And I really wanted to go to a school called Booker T. Washington. And Booker T. Washington is a performing arts high school in downtown Dallas. Booker T. Washington for the Performing and Visual Arts. It's a tongue twister. But Booker T is notorious for having the greats pass through their hallways. Like Erykah Badu went to Booker T. Nora Jones went to Booker T. And just a lot of incredible talent. And if you wanted to be anything in dance, in music, in art, passing through Booker T and going through that system was almost like a golden ticket. I guess that's what it felt like to me. I didn't get a chance to go at the beginning of my high school experience, so I thought I was like, dang, I don't know. And then all of a sudden, I auditioned anyway, and by the skin of my teeth, I made it in. I think there were only like 2 spots open.
Wow.
And I was super grateful. Yeah. I was just like, dang, okay, well, I'm gonna bawl my eyes out for like 24 hours out of gratitude, and then, you know, let's figure out what I'm gonna wear to school. I found out at the end of the summer, right before, I thought I was gonna go back to the school, that public school I was going to, but then 1 month in, or 1 month before school was supposed to start, I found out I was going to Booker T. It was like, I don't know, I was like saved from something. I was plucked out of a lifestyle, and then I was given this like once in a lifetime opportunity. It felt like such a big deal, and it was. When I went to Booker T is where I got introduced to like modern. Modern isn't something that I got at my original studio that I grew up at. So that was new, like modern technique like Horton and Graham. Those techniques were still highly physically demanding in ways that are similar to ballet technique. But the essence of modern is to break down the rules that exist, especially in classical ballet, and create these like angular shapes and these powerful movements that maybe require ballet technique to execute, but are felt a lot further, deeper, like a necessary stepping stone to get, I guess, where we are now in more contemporary movement.
Mm.
So modern was incredible for me, but I think the two greatest gifts that Booker T gave me was a class called improvisation and composition, which is basically like you get to do what you want. Like you get to create what you want within certain parameters. And they teach you how to create a repertoire of movement through different exercises about, creating your own patterns and trying to learn what it is to be a choreographer versus just like, execute this choreography I give you. So I thoroughly enjoyed that like investigation process. And I was like, wait, I think I want to be a choreographer. I think I want to just create my own shit. Oh, sorry. And so finally got that opportunity in that class. And I had a really incredible teacher named Dr. James as my first improv and comp teacher. And I felt like she understood me. She saw me. And I went from auditioning with a song to Ariana Grande to now learning modern technique and then landing myself in an improv and comp class where all I knew to do and create was like almost like cheesy entertainment based like jazz moves, big turns and twirls and jumps. And then by the end of the class, or the end of the semester, whatever, I learned what abstraction was and how you don't have to be entertaining. You can dance for other reasons. You can dance for intentions that mean something to you. And I think that I viewed dance, unfortunately, as entertainment before that moment. But I'm grateful that eureka moment happened there and then, So that was another big switch where I was like, I not only can dance in a way that feels good, in a way that has this like effortless, fly, cool air to it, but I can also move in a way that breaks down my rigid ballet technique into little tiny pieces that can all be a part of a story that I want to tell, not just what people want to see or what people think is attractive or magnetizing. And so I got a lot of empowerment from all that dance knowledge that I got at Booker T, and they also opened so many great doors in transitioning high school artists to college. And like with Booker T, like a lot of college representatives during like what is called like college week or something, I don't know, they all come to the school and you get to audition in front of like all these major schools like USC, Juilliard, all the schools from around the country, and you just get to like pick your poison and be like, okay, I like you, I like you, I like you. And they put you on a list and get interviews right away. So it was almost like you get so much handed to you on a silver platter. And was very blessed and super grateful. But it didn't come without challenges. I had a hard time making friends. Especially when you come late, it can be difficult to get into the cliques that are 2 years deep, you know? And so I had a hard time opening up to people, which has always been an issue, like talking. Which is so funny now because I feel like people say that I talk good. And I'm like, you should have seen me when I was 10. But yeah, I just felt so socially awkward, but also I feel like misunderstood in a way because sometimes when people, have an idea about you, or maybe either perceive you as a competition or even as like just not sure, they maybe can assume negative things first before they assume positive. And so I just felt like that was happening a lot. And so it was hard for me to make friends there. But the cool other part is when I couldn't find a lot of friends in the dance department, I found a few, but not really a lot. I found a ton of friends in music and visual arts. And so then all my friends became people outside of dance, and I was exploring their experience at Booker T from a totally different place. They're like, yeah, I'm an artist. I do this thing. And I play the saxophone in this part of the school, and I go to these practice rooms, and oh yeah, I have to make 2 murals next week, and I was just like, I want to do that too, so it wasn't even that I wanted to cross cluster, which is what they call it. I was in a dance cluster, but I was like, oh, this art thing is like really well-rounded. I think that's the issue sometimes when you love dance and you become a dancer. It's like dance is your whole world. But then when the dancers didn't like me so much, then I was like, okay, well, who does? And then a lot of the music kids were chill, and a lot of the visual students, they were super cool. I didn't really get into musical theater too much until my last year. We did Hair the Musical. It was like the first all-school musical we did, but then it just really inspired me to be a storyteller from that moment. But I always talk so much about Booker T. You can cut that out if you want.
No, that's great.
But I guess to get to closer to where we are now, I moved to New York, and I chose a school called Pace University. It's in Lower Manhattan in like Wall Street district, and I was dorming really close to like Fulton Station, like right across. And it was a commercial jazz program. All of my teachers, which felt like my friends at Booker T in Dallas, were like, "Why did you go there?" And I honestly could not tell you. But I knew that I wanted to be in New York. And I knew that I kind of wanted to be a storyteller of sorts, and that theater and dance were a great way to do that. But I think I wanted to do more progressive and innovative plays in theater and dance and, abstraction as well. I didn't want to lose that momentum of like falling in love with like doing whatever I wanted to. But, I realized what it meant to be a commercial dancer and what it meant to be a concert dancer and what that difference was in the world of entertainment. And commercial dancer is exactly what it sounds like. It's like for a commercial industry, like, oh, I just booked a Target commercial. Oh, I just did an ad with Nike. Oh, I just, those kind of gigs. And maybe even, oh, I just went on tour with Bruno Mars, whatever. I don't know. Why was he the first one? But then concert is more, oh, I went to Juilliard and now I'm going to Netherlands Dance Theater to do a season in their company. Or, oh, I am going to dance with Basheva, like more Eurocentric, like fine arts, you could say. But I noticed so many differences that I had not made the distinction before then. I learned a lot about what I didn't want to be, which was so valuable. And I'm grateful for getting such a clear definition of what it is to be a commercial dancer. And there are people who finesse the commercial industry so well and they remain true to themselves. But I think you have to know who you are in order to be successful in the entertainment industry. And I saw a lot of people sad and a lot of people that were losing themselves or trying to fine tune their identity to fit the mold of what was popular and what was required. You know, like people always glorify diversity, you know, or people who look multiracial. You know, I'm half Filipino and half white. And so they would always say, oh, you're very diverse, like you're multiracial, da 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 da. And I was like, why do I feel weird? You know, like why does this feel a little degrading?
Yeah.
Because I'm like, no, I'm an artist, damn it. You know?
Yeah.
So it was always a kind of the road was really sticky. My years there. I made a lot of great friends though. I made a lot of great friends that saw me and cared about me and loved me. And I also met an important friend group that introduced me to a party called Soul in the Horn. That particular friend group, by showing me Soul in the Horn, changed my life. Soul in the Horn is an incredible party in New York City, curated by D. Prosper and resident DJ Natasha Diggs. I love them so much, and I don't know that I could ever put into words to successfully describe how Soul in the Horn has changed my life, and has changed, not even changed, but like healed my heart and my love for dance, purely by just offering a space dedicated to joy and love vibration. Natasha's a goddess, and like everybody knows it. She knows it. She's also just like a really kick-ass human being, and I don't get to tell her that enough. But if I did, it'd probably feel weird. She just knows how to play the music in such a way where you feel like you're in this bubble of not only like funky, electric joy that feels like you're a kid again, but also like you're being cared for, like it's compassionate. You know, you feel that in the transitions. You know, I realize like, you know, the art of DJing and like how it can affect a crowd of people who are there to dance and vibe and love, you know, life and forget about worries, you know, just want to escape and dive headfirst into the music. And, you know, I realized just how impactful a DJ can be, because it literally can transform and transcend an entire group of people to a place where they are their most raw, authentic self. And it did that for me. And it showed me a version of myself I hadn't seen since I was 12. You know, it brought me back to the moment I first listened to Michael Jackson. You know, the moment I first watched that live concert he did in like 2002 or 2000, I don't know, in 2000 or something, when he released Invincible album, you know. And he went, "You rock my whole world, you know you did." I was singing that song. I'd never experienced a song that made it impossible to sit still. Like, I don't know what what I look like, but it feels so good. And I got taken back to that place when I would go to Soul in the Horn every Friday night. So then it became my church. Then it became my religion. And then I got, you know, another wave of incredible amount of information for free 99 from all of these wonderful people that had been Club Kids way back when Club Kid was just being invented as a thing, when the club culture was literally being created in the 80s and 90s. You know, they gave me so much information, especially about New York club culture, that really helped me understand what dance is to the world. Not just to dancers who go to the studio and learn how to be a dancer in the studio, but like there's this whole other place, you know, where dance is a social thing. It's a way to connect with people, and you don't have to go to a studio to be wonderful. And probably some of the most incredible dancers I've seen at the club, they've never taken a proper dance class, you know? And proper. And it was disbelief. You know, I was like, what do you mean? I grew up I've put so much blood, sweat, and tears. And why do I feel like I've never danced before? Why do I feel like it's so hard for me to find this beat? Because I was thinking about it. And Michael Jackson said the worst thing a dancer can ever do is think. And I was like, I found that, I read that quote while I was in New York in the heat of me like wanting to be a club kid for the first time. And it's like, what is that? This little half Filipino Texas girl all of a sudden wants to be funky. I don't know. And that quote also changed my life because I realized the reason I don't feel good about dance is because I'm thinking, oh, I'm not feeling. If I'm not feeling, I'm not dancing. And there's a difference between being technical and thinking about executing your body to create form and shape to a particular pattern of rhythm. And then there's dance. That's soul. That's different. Like you don't even have to move to be in a dance. It's a feeling. I was sometimes with Bishop Arts Theater Center, which is a great theater I've had the opportunity to work with for the past like 3 years since COVID. They sometimes bring me in just to, you know, be a teaching artist and teach like the elderly. And I'm like, it's so gratifying. Like I meet so many cool people, and sometimes I go to places that are like just up here in Oak Lawn. It's I forget, Iris Memory Care or something like that, where it's like they specifically focus on people that deal with like dementia or Alzheimer's or something like that. And it's interesting because they will sometimes revert back to like a childlike like state. And it's interesting to be there to dance with them and just to like, hey, let's move our bodies today. And there was this one like beautiful woman that didn't get up out of her chair one time, and she was just nodding her head. Like sometimes she would like furrow her brow because she like the song was so good. I was just playing 70s, you know, disco, but I think it brought back a feeling of nostalgia that produced a rhythm and that made her head move. And I was like, she's dancing. That's dance. That's what dance is, you know? You don't have to two-step. You could, but when you feel it and you know it and you trust it, no one can ever tell you that's not dance. You don't have to do too much. And for my majority of my dance training, I was doing a lot because I felt like I had to, you know? You feel like you have to do all these things in order to be of value, or to prove something to somebody, maybe a bully who said that you wouldn't be shit. And it's like, okay, you know, I'm going to prove this thing wrong. But I found because of Soul in the Horn, it made me love dance like a child would. And I deeply needed that because I wasn't loving dance at the school that I was at. And, you know, to each his own. You get your education where you need it, and you get in where you fit in, and you find the spaces that see your value, and you will feel valued. And Soul in the Horn was that space that I was looking for. So had I not gone to Pace, I would have never found Soul in the Horn. So Shout out my Soul in the Horn fam. I love y'all so much. Yeah. But I guess to wrap up a long ass story, um, uh, I dropped out of college and then I came back to Texas to get my act together and figure out what I wanted to do. I was I was pursuing a degree that would land me as a graduate in 2020, but that's when the pandemic hit.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, oh, I dipped out at the perfect time, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. So I was super grateful that I dipped out at the time that I did. Because then, well, like 2019, I dropped out in 2019, my junior year, which I was so close to being done. I should have just got that little piece of paper, but it happened how it happened. And I came back to Dallas, and that's when I started freestyling. There was a friend named Kevin Middleton. He went by Character, and he was very popular in the dance scene. Like, a lot of people knew him, and a lot of people knew him to be extremely talented, but also like successful, choreographer as well. And we clicked. And he was the one that introduced me to the Dallas dance scene, and he's the one that I battled with for the first time. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And I just tried to pretend like I was at the club. I was dancing to disco, funk, hip hop, like the golden era hip hop, with all of the same feelings that I tried to hold close to my heart, so I didn't get too nervous. And it worked out. I did pretty well for my first one. And the ballet technique isn't going anywhere. Like, it's stuck in my body forever. And so I guess I'm like a mix of like what I thought was being funky and being technical. I mixed it together, and then bada bing, bada boom, I did pretty okay. And I knew I wasn't off beat. Mm-hmm. So that's pretty important. And ever since then, that kind of like created this domino effect of loving Dallas again from a completely new place where I wasn't doing choreo. I wasn't at the studio. I was in a lab, what people called the lab. And I was like, what does that mean? But it's for freestylers, it's a place to explore. And train and, and I was like, oh, this is that incubator that I found in that improvisation and comp class back in Booker T. Like, this is the same thing. And so it's just eureka moments that happen when you're little. They happen again later, and you got to listen to those little voices that get that spark. So I guess now I'm here, and I love battling, especially in places like, man, I love Florida. Florida's my favorite place to battle right now. Thesis is coming up. I'm so excited. Shout out to the Floridians. Yeah, man, I love battling. And I never thought I would say that because I used to be such a hater. But battling is honestly has become such a cool test of what you can do under pressure. And what do you say when it really counts? And all the lights are on you and it's your moment, everyone's looking at you. What are you gonna say? And the best thing you could ever do is be honest. And I think that's the most raw you could be, is just be as honest as you can and submit to the music as best you can while staying true and staying connected in the conversation that's happening, either one way or if it's 2v2, whatever, and make a moment. Because you might not win, but you can always make a moment. And I love battling for that. But freestyle saved my life. Again and again and again and again. So.
Yeah.
That was a lot.
No, that was great. I love to hear the story just because, it helps people just get to understand where you come from, how you came about, built your character and through dance, but also as a person. So love to hear those things and how each thing kind of led to another, and how many of those events were so important to you and kind of developed you into the person you are now. So much of it I resonate with too, just like being a quiet kid. Dance came a little bit later in my life, where I figured out like I liked it, enjoyed doing it, and kind of pursued it further. But it's cool to hear how you were able to use dance as that language for you. And I know you mentioned how at times it was hard to communicate with people, but you know, being able to use dance as your form of communication, I think is huge, you know? And I always love to hear like the backstory of how people got to where they're at. Because it's always interesting. And for you, whenever I watch you dance, it's always very unique. And like you said, it always looks very effortless as well. And now understanding like where you came from in your background, how you're technically trained coming up, but then fell in love with the funk through Michael Jackson, and then just all the people that you've met along the way who have kind of helped contribute to become who you are, kind of led full circle to being falling in love with freestyle and just free movement as a whole. It's just really cool to hear. So
Thanks, dude.
yeah. And so with that being said, I know you said once you came back, you were like, okay, let me figure this out. What is it that I do want to do? And you kind of led to this whole this freestyle movement for you, but also loving battling. So how'd you say that kind of came about, and where do you think you are now and kind of trying to further pursue?
I had an extreme level of FOMO after I came back from New York. It was a hard decision that just had to be made because it was a lot of mental health challenges that I had come to. I was partying all the time. Not even like I wasn't doing no like hard drugs or alcohol. I was really partying sober majority of the time, and I loved like I loved the club. But it's hard to be a full-time club kid and be a full-time student at the same time, and also at a school that actively didn't serve me. And it was making me very sad. It was making me exceptionally confused. And to be sad and confused is a slippery slope, especially in a city like New York, when you feel so much pressure and so much speed, and they hold you accountable to know who you are in the instant you step out, you know, and just to be real. And I had so many questions about what I wanted to do, and I was like, I see no purpose in me finishing at this school. I feel like all that I want to do is dance at this club, but like what is that? You know, like how am I gonna make a career of just like partying all the time? And half the people that I met that I felt like were phenomenal dancers, they worked at a pizza shop or they did marketing or, you know, sales and advertising. So it was like, but what? I've only loved to dance my entire life. I've only been surrounded by dance. And my whole identity was a dance. And so I was like, who am I without dance? I can either lose all sense of reality if I let dance go, or I can figure out what my heart wants. And I think, like I said, Solo in the Horn made me love dance like a child again. And that's a very important voice I feel like I needed to listen to. And really try and tune out any pressure to succeed and achieve, climb an invisible ladder or something, to get an impressive resume to say that I am somebody. I had to just know that I am who I am. And I love getting emotional. I love dance far too much for me to pursue it any less than how sacred it is to me. So when I came back to Texas, that was like the intention, was to like figure out how can I grow in my dance if I treat it like a prayer? Like it genuinely began to be this spiritual exploration. And a lot of people, when I first came into the Dallas scene, would say that I dance very emotionally and that I'm it's very feminine. And at the time that I came in, it was very masculine. A lot of like masculine centered styles, like popping and breaking and hip hop. You have this like macho aggression in battling that I was just bouncing around and I was just smiling and like being what I felt like I was at the club, which was just this little sassy little kid, just in a 20-something-year-old body. And that I realized how many people didn't want to be macho and aggressive, even if you were a boy and you like were very masculine presenting. I realized how important it is to let your inner child flow and to let that inner child speak freely, especially through your dance. Even if you've never danced before, there's incredible amount of energy that can be transferred between you and the universe if you just let it happen. But you have to be open and willing to do that, open-hearted, open-minded. And in order to get to that place, you got to be a little vulnerable. And I didn't see a lot of vulnerability when I came in. But that was I guess that was like a necessity that I saw needed to be fulfilled in a way here in Dallas, Texas. And I found out that it was everywhere later. But I wanted to offer a place where people could just dance and explore their emotions. And how do you feel? How you feel is more important than what you look like. And that was revolutionary for me to think about. And then, as it got passed down, people really liked it. People really felt transformed by it. And even if they took my class like one time, they say it's like, oh, this was deeply impactful. Like I have permission to just feel whatever I'm feeling and let it be good. And I'm like, yeah, you could do this all the time. And so I think if I'm to brag about anything, I think I did inspire a lot of emotional vulnerability that unlocked a lot of feminine compassion inside of people's styles. And the way that they express that is up to them. Sometimes I'll see people do moves that I'm like, oh, okay, I've done that. But
yeah.
But it matters more if it feels good, it feels honest for you, do it. Because we're all connected, so you know what I mean? So that's talk so much. But that's the necessity of wanting to give people a space to be themselves is why I just created Discovery Movement. So people could discover their movement, but I put disco in parentheses because it's an ode to where that joy and childlike curiosity got unlocked. Was at the disco at Soul and Horn. Yeah. And now Discovery Movement's still on. I just wrapped up a really incredible experience at the Bathhouse Cultural Center in partnership with the city of Dallas. The Bathhouse Cultural Center gave me an artist workshop for the month. You came to one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you came to one. I forget which element you came to.
Fire.
Oh,
Yeah.
that was the Canvas one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, shout out to Canvas.
Yeah.
Sheesh, that's one of my biggest inspirations. Yeah, so that was an incredible experience. That was honestly probably like everything I had ever wanted Discovery to be.
Mm.
It was and it was just a 2-hour workshop where they had an incredible lighting designer named Stuart I gave a simple outline of like we have 4 workshops, one each week for the month of July. I want to do one element per week, one of the 4: water, fire, air, earth, in whatever order makes sense. And I fell in love with so many people, and I fell in love with sharing dance again, in a new way recently. Because you get tired of doing the same old thing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
You get tired of like teaching. I don't want to teach. I want to learn. I want to be a student. And I was constantly being like, I just want to be a student. I just want to be a student. I just want to learn again. I just want to feel alive. And like I know nothing at all. And I've been craving that feeling a lot recently. And the Discovery Movement classes that happened at the bathhouse gave me that. Where I was just being like, maybe we could do this. And we're all just discovering the same information together in different ways. Yeah. And that is truly educational wealth, is when we're all just holding each other accountable and learning whatever inspires us individually and collectively.
Yeah.
So that's my shit.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. Like there are times where, you just want to learn and you just want to be in a position where you can learn again. And that's something for me like that. I feel like that's where I get like most excited about, being in a spot where I can learn again. But I think you said something in the beginning that I don't want to just gloss over, where you said dance is just, it became something you identified with and something that you were so passionate about, and you're like, I can either lean into this or I can just let it go and kind of lose sense of reality. And I think that's so important to kind of note, because I think a lot of people have come across that crossroad where they were so like, and it doesn't even necessarily have to be dance that they're so passionate about, but something that they identify with so strongly, and they come to a point in their life where they're like, well, it's either that or I just let it go. And so many times people just let it go. And I feel like I know so many people that decide to let it go, but you can tell, it's not the same without it. And whenever they do come back to it, it sparks something for them. And I think that a lot of times that happens either because there's a fear or they don't know how to go about pursuing it. But you talked a lot about being emotional about it, being vulnerable, and kind of like some of the fears that came with it. So, and just some of the obstacles too. So can you talk a little bit more to that of, deciding, hey, I'm going to lean into this more. I'm not going to throw it away. This is something this is me and I resonate with it, and I'm going to go full in. Can you just talk to some of like the hurdles you had to overcome and some of the emotions that were there with it?
Yeah, for sure. That was probably the scariest decision I had to make in my young adult life. I saw an interview recently where Erykah Badu said, like, if you find one thing you are just effortlessly great at, that you really, really love and you're really exceptional, master it. And I think that was the direction I decided to go in. But dance, like we've talked about, is so broad. And there are so many different avenues you could walk down in your dance journey. And I think that I had come to a crossroads where I could dance for a career, or I could dance as a spiritual expression. And there were so many moments where I would feel this like doomsday level of doubt. And they'd be like, there's no money in spiritual healing. You know what I mean? And true, like there shouldn't be. It's supposed to be free. But you know, it was those kinds of feelings of doubt that made it so hard to commit. But I just, and I guess for anybody out there who's scared to or faced with a crossroad of letting go of your dream or holding on, hold on to it. You know, I during the time when I was like, you know, going through my mental health, whatever, not whatever, but I was having a lot of deep talks with my mom and my dad. You know, I love them, and they worked with me a lot. Worked through a lot of like childhood things, and I think that's where it can make or break a lot of your path into when you're choosing things for yourself. And I found out, I was an accident. You know, and that my mom is just so cool. She was 25, which is how old I am right now. She got pregnant with me. Whoop, surprise. And my dad was like, I don't know, Jean. I don't know if we're ready. Da, 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 da. She was like, I'm going to have this baby with or without you, which is so my mom. And it made me love her and feel this deep level of like humility. Because I was like, you could have gotten an abortion, bro. I don't even know if they were legal at the time or whatever. I don't know. I don't know what it was like in 1997. But she decided to keep me. And she decided to love me and give birth to me. And my dad's my like best friend growing up. Like, we're great. But, you know, he's human. He's like, I don't know. She's like, she needs to happen. So I was like, I found that out. And I was trying to figure out, I was like, what am I going to do with this life? And then after I found out that information, I was like, I only got one chance. I'm not gonna like kick dirt on my mother's choice, you know, to have me. And I don't know, it's not, and it's, you know, to make a choice based on your parents' approval or disappointment is one thing, but it just felt like on a deeper level, it was like, no, I deserve to live a life I'm proud of, you know, not a life I survived through. Everyone's gonna survive or they're gonna die, you know, not to get like super existential, but and I didn't want to just survive. I wanted to enjoy myself and love what I did every day. And how I enjoy my life now at 25 is very different than when I was 19 or when I was 10, you know. And it's constantly changing, but I think the most important thing I learned how to do and that I chose to do in the moment when I decided to choose dance and not let go, and specifically choose freedom dance, was I chose happiness, you know? Yeah. So if you think that pain and misery is a necessity to growth, you're right. But you have to ask yourself what you're doing that for. Because dance is so painful. At the same time, you know, healing is not easy, and it's not linear. But you know, you can know in your heart that you're doing it because you love your life and that you love to exist, and you love the continuous and infinite beauty that is witnessing God all around you move and move people in perfect time, at the perfect place, in the perfect levels of sadness and loss and lust and happiness and joy and catastrophic disaster. And it's just all works out in this beautifully tragic way. And I wouldn't want to miss it by being stuck at a 9-to-5 that I hate. Or, you know, losing touch with that little 5-year-old version of me that can't sit still, you know? So I would never want to neglect her. Because if I think about what would I do, how would I walk and how would I talk if I was raising myself again? You know, like if I had to like raise myself like little Hailey, like from jump, like if I was in my mom's shoes, and what kind of person would I be? You know?
Yeah.
So it was a lot of those kind of like introspective questions where I was like, had to be super real with myself. And I want to live a life I'm proud of, you know, as if I were my own daughter. What would I want to see, you know? Or, you know, what would it? All right, I'm gonna choose. I'm gonna choose to be happy and fight for what I think feels good, you know. So
yeah. No, that's honestly super inspiring to hear. Just like choosing to look your fears straight on and being like, hey, like I'm just gonna go for it. And this is something that I feel so strongly about, that it doesn't matter what happens along the way. You know, this means so much to me that I'm gonna just go for it. And it's something that sounds easy when you're looking at it in hindsight and being able to just talk about it, but those moments are just some of the scariest like decisions that you make, but also one of like the most like rewarding choices in the end. And so I applaud you for sticking to it and deciding not only that I'm going to pursue dance, but I'm going to pursue dance my way. Because, you know, like you said, there's a million different avenues you can go with dance, and you thought about those things like, you know, there's no money in, you know, healing for dance, but you decide, hey, that's me, that's who I am, and I'm going to continue to pursue those things. So, I just think so many people can benefit from just hearing that. It's just like you can not only pursue those things that you love, but you can choose to pursue it your way. And for anybody that's listening, it's like even if you go through something through this way, like that worked because that's what resonated for you. And I think that's the important thing to take away from it. It's like, it doesn't have to be, it's not because I did it this way, you can also do it this way. It's because I did it this way, now you get to choose your own lane to do it your way. And so, yeah, it takes a strong person to be able to look their fears in the face and just be like, I'm going to pursue it, and I'm going to pursue it my way. So, I just applaud you for taking things on that way.
Thanks, dude.
Yeah. So, just all the challenges that came with it is just, it sounds like, you know, a lot of your underlying whys of why you pursued it, because that's a lot of times what kind of carry you through those kind of moments, figuring out your whys. And it sounds to me like a lot of it was just, you know, understanding your identity. Part of it was your parents, right? But I think more importantly, what you mentioned was just living a life that you're proud of, right? Does that sound like kind of the underlying why of why you chose, like, I'm going to pursue this, is just I want to be able to live a life that I can look back on and say I was proud to have lived that life and I enjoyed doing it instead of just dragging through.
Yeah, yeah. I think pride is definitely a driving force for a lot of the decisions I made during that time. Um, but I think there are higher um, driving forces that I'm finding now. Uh, I think moving from pride is a great stepping stone, and um, to be proud and to take pride means you care. Like you really you really care about yourself and the world around you, and hopefully you have you can take pride in what it is to be a compassionate human being and do something that's gonna help people. And I think now I'm truly figuring out um, what it means um, to exist inside of like patience and compassion, which is hard to do, especially patience. I'm a very impatient person. And I get impatient with like stupidity, with ignorance, and all of those things that naturally, if you see a jerk on the street and they're naturally being rude, I'm gonna say like, you know,
Mm-hmm.
but um, in a higher sense, it's like I can do that I can choose to live this life because I'm gonna be proud of it. Or I can choose my lifestyle because it is helping us all. Um and I think even the work you do that's unseen is equally, if not more important than the work you do when people are watching. And I think that's what integrity is doing the right thing when no one's looking at you. And I think a part of pride requires people to see you. Um, you need people to be seen in order to gain a sense of pride, I think, to a certain extent. Um, at least for me, that's what it felt like. But I I don't party as much as I used to. I don't club really. Um, I'm very much like a homebody now. But when I do step out or when I do things that are very social or activate the community or share, different art, whether it's dance or something else. I try to think about like how would this make the world a better place? As cheesy as that sounds, and that's how I know I'll look back and I did good. Um, my jazz teacher that I met when I was like 10 at Dance Institute, the studio I started at, she changed my life. She's like one of my best friends.
Mm-hmm.
She's like in her 60s. She's awesome. She's the blueprint to me. She did everything I'm doing now way before I did, but at a time when it was a lot harder to do that. But she taught me it was okay to be a weirdo, and that was a great lesson at a time when I was very scared to be a weirdo. But she taught me a lot about different goddesses that I can channel for guidance and wisdom along the way of me figuring out what the hell is going on. And there was one goddess named Kuan Yin that she said that I can always channel the goddess of Kuan Yin, who's the goddess of compassion and patience. If I ever need help. And Kuan Yin is the human manifestation of, or there's been many human manifestations of the spirit of Kuan Yin. And sometimes it's on the form of like folk tales that have been passed down in like East Asian culture, or, I don't know. Most of the ones that I heard were from Asian culture, but the story of Kuan Yin, or rather her role in humanity, is to postpone her enlightenment to teach the world about compassion and patience so that everyone can learn the way to enlightenment. And Suzanne's so funny. She thinks I'm Kuan Yin. And I was like, I don't know. Sure. I think we all have a little bit of Kuan Yin in all of us, you know? But I definitely feel like that is a higher vibration to be led by than pride. Not to say that like pride is bad, but I think pride is a great stepping stone to get to leading with compassion for life to be your goal. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that you made that connection and transition from, like you said, wanting to be proud of the life you live, to transitioning to a mindset of compassion and helping others and leaving an impact. And yeah, I know you said it not sound cheesy, and I don't think it's cheesy at all. But you know, what difference am I going to make? Have you thought about giving that a lot of thought as far as what it is like through dance and through your artistry, what it is you want to accomplish, like how you want to impact people and just kind of the legacy you want to leave behind?
Yeah. I used to think a lot about my legacy. But I think it was tainted with a lot of desires for fame. But I don't want to be famous anymore. I just want to pay my bills. And eat good, travel and stuff. But no, I you know, everybody wants to accomplish great things when they're old and tired and they look back at when they were young and hot. And I I don't care how I do it. Whether it's in dance or whether it's like, oh, I just started a podcast or I just started making oil paintings of abstract, you know, sculptures or whatever. I don't know how it's gonna happen, and it's not for me to know how, but I think the greatest thing I can keep doing is make decisions that that continue to spread joy and love more often than I spread anything else. That's very vague, but I'm trying to do better. I'm trying to do better being specific on what I want to achieve. I think I used to answer this question in a way where I hope to curate an educational program or a school institute of some sort that's free, that's funded to provide free education in movement and maybe even in martial arts, which is a whole new spectrum of movement I'm learning from my partner, Trey. But to teach people how important it is to move your body. And I also believe in my heart, dance is one of the last things that's going to be left untainted, one of the last art forms. Because in order to truly feel the dance, you got to put down your cell phone. In order to be truly magnificent, and to experience it from human to human, it has to be a soulful thing. And you could say that about other art forms, but because the body is the instrument and there's no outside instrumentation needed or technology or anything, it seems like the last frontier to me, and I think it deserves to be sacred and spread globally. as a spiritual healing practice for sure, but with the right people in charge that do have a deep well of compassion, infinite patience for all life that need it. Um, there's so many ways to say it wrong. There's so many ways to express yourself in a way that's corny or cringe or politically incorrect or, socially awkward. And so people are so scared to speak about who they are. And, there's so much pressure to say it in such a way so you don't offend or get canceled. But with dance, you don't have to say anything, and it's very hard to lie. I think it's almost impossible to lie with your body. But you definitely can't lie when you dance. And that's why I love it. I think, everybody lies. We all do it. And even if it's a little lie or it's a big one, I feel safe. Because even if I wanted to lie when I dance, I can't. So I always felt safe that I was being my most honest self. And even when people are like, oh, I'm not a dancer, oh, I'm not a dancer, I'm insecure. Like, yeah, I know, I see it. It's real. I know, I see it. And I'm like, okay. But also, you could just bounce like a baby with a diaper. Easy, Just move. And I hope that dance can be the way that I get people to a raw and honest state, and maybe help them experience more joy, and also maybe tune into an inner voice that can guide them to living a life they love, with people around them that genuinely love them, because that's what it's done for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the way you tied that all together. Just having raw and honesty and allowing people to live in a life where they can live in that love and be surrounded by others that love them. 'Cause I think that's truly what dance is, right? I think you mentioned it a couple times, and when you're thinking, you're not dancing. Like that's what takes you out of it, and just being honest with your movement. I've never really thought about it that way, where you can't lie when you're dancing. You'll be able to see through it, and just being honest with your movements. Like you said, when you're in a battle, that's the most honest you can be, which is, I think that unlocks something for me. Like in my head, mentally, like that's the most honest you can be. I've noticed for myself personally, when I do get up to battle, I think too much, and that's it takes me out of it. But when I'm in just a space where everything's kind of curated and you can just let go and stop thinking, that's when I feel like I dance best. So to be able to channel that and channel that kind of rawness and honesty when I dance is super, super big. Just to hear you say that, it kind of unlocks a different mentality for me. So I really appreciate you saying that, and hearing that's kind of the impact and kind of what you're trying to accomplish through dances is huge to hear, because I feel like just through your words right now, you're able to kind of open my mind to that already. So you're already kind of making that impact on the world right now through one person. So yeah, I appreciate that. So in saying that, looking forward to your legacy, I know Discovery Movement is kind of your baby right now. Are there any other future goals that you have right now, or even within Discovery Movement? Like, kind of what's your future plans and goals that you're trying to hit right now?
Yeah, more specifically, just to speak it out, 2024 is the year of execution for sure. 2023 is continuing to be the year of research and application, but 2024 is action.
Mm.
um, and I'm not rushing myself, but the goal is to have experimental battles, and at least one major battle that includes like an immersive experience of movement art. I have not to give too much away, but I have a movement play, kind of a coming of age story that personifies a volcano, and as it relates to the journey of creating art and your artistic process, as well as like continuing to build similar workshops that were at the Bathhouse Cultural Center and other spaces, especially local to Dallas people. A lot of dance I'm seeing is starting to migrate to like Richardson and Plano and Frisco, and McKinney and Allen is getting more north and north and north. But there's a wonderful, rich community in Dallas proper, like downtown, and in the surrounding areas, that I would like to serve that community more. Continuing, it felt really good. And shout out to the Bathhouse Cultural Center for setting that up. It felt really good that it was free. It felt really good that it was funded by the city of Dallas and it was free to the public. And I want to continue that work because dance is very important. Not only to me, but I know that it can be important for others too, even if you never make it a career or you never do anything with it. So just setting the tone, setting the example, and putting to action different experiences, whether it be a battle, whether it be a performance or a workshop where people can experience dance in a multifaceted way, and just see all the different, just to experience with all the five senses, like that dance is transformative. Yup.
Okay. I'm looking forward to all those things.
I'll post the flyer.
Okay.
I'll
sounds good.
when it comes out.
No, that's cool. I love it. You know, you're making moves. I feel like I'm in a similar phase of, you know, being patient and being in a research phase, but not to rush things, but also to be intentional still. Even, you know, you never want to rush a product because that's you just kind of end up cutting corners and it doesn't end up being what you want it to be. So being patient with the process, understanding there's steps in place for you to execute, but still being intentional about executing them. So love to hear it. I do want to just touch back on the significance of battles for you. I know you mentioned that's a big part of your future along with all the other things, but if you want to just touch on what makes battling so significant for you.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I used to be a hater, and I didn't like how uncomfortable I felt at a battle. I also, you know, being a woman in freestyle is an experience within of itself, and you feel intimidated and pressured to be masculine and present masculine energy. And you know, at least in my experience as a woman, I use my masculine energy to protect myself when I feel unsafe. You know, like if someone's catcalling or someone's following me at a train station, I'm gonna present my masculine energy so I don't look like a victim. You know? And so when there's a ton of pressure to be masculine at a battle, then I'm kind of like, you know, I feel scared. And I think that's something a lot of women could maybe relate to that I've heard. You know, we talk about behind closed doors and then, you know, talking to people out in the open, trying to support each other. But I grew to love battles because I realized I am as safe as I believe that I am. And I had to also believe that I am safe. If I am as safe as I believe that I am, then I believe that I am safe. And because I believe I'm safe, I am safe to be who I am. Yeah. I was like, yeah, I said that. And so after I just gave myself permission to not only feel safe, but also feel safe to be who I am fully, then I started just being, just exploring movement like it's a game. And this is all battling is. It's just a game. It's like we're at recess and we're like, you want to do a dance battle? Yeah. What do I get? No, this time you get money. It's like, this one is for $1,000. And I'm like, shit, okay. It's so funny. I love popping, but I wouldn't consider myself a popper. Like, I would never, if someone were to ask me what's my style, I would never be like, oh, I'm a popper. Because I have a lot of respect for popping. And I'm not going to be like, boop, this is popping just because I said it. No, there's so many. No, it's too deep. It's way too deep. And so I'm a dancer. And I like to say that I'm an experimental dancer, but I just love dance. But I also love to learn. And so I've learned popping technique. Anyways, I digress. So I entered my first 1v1 popping gym in Houston just because my friends pressured me to. And I only competed in all style events. I would love to start competing in 1v1 popping and 1v1 hip hop just to challenge myself in a more specific way because I love those styles and the foundation. I don't know. The foundation is hot to me. But I did it and I entered it and I was like, my only goal was to make it past the preliminary round, where they were just going to cut everybody to a top 32 or to a top 16, I don't know. And I was like, my only goal is to make it past prelims. And usually my goal is to win the whole thing. But I was like, low stakes, whatever. Just first one. And then I kept going in with that mentality and I kept getting past. I got out top 8, I think, to Danger. Super cool, really seasoned popper in Houston. And because I was like, oh, I'm just gonna have a good time, just see what happens, say fuck it and see what happens. And I was like, oh, this is fun. This is supposed to be fun. This is supposed to be a game. And it's a video game, but it's in real time. And you get to have a conversation with people and that neither of you are going to say the same thing. But you're both dancing to the same song. But neither of you are going to, one, say the same thing and be able to do it again in the same way. It's a one-time thing. Boop. And that's a very intimidating thing at first, but it's also a great reason to be like, boop, well, that's over. That's never happening again. I'll never have to do that again if it goes terribly wrong. But then it doesn't, you don't put that crazy pressure on yourself. You genuinely enjoy yourself and you genuinely listen to the music and see what's there to inspire you. And then you just freak it and don't settle for anything less than being who you are on the dance floor. People vibe. People like to see that. And so that's what saved my ass a lot in my battle experience, was literally just having a good time. Now, there are some tracks that I'll get that's like a crump track, or like something hard. Nobody wants to give me that stuff, though, and I want it. To all my DJ friends.
There you go, put it out there.
But when I do get that, then I'll tap into something else. It's not necessarily like I'm talking. I don't necessarily understand Crump language deeply, but I'm highly infatuated with everything that it takes to get booked. And I love the way that battles, no matter what song you get, whether you feel like, oh, I need to get buck, whatever that means to you, or you feel like you have to get funky. Oh, I have to, I have to get wavy, whatever. You explore different parts of yourself every time, and it's never gonna be the same. And I'm just grateful that I get to make so many mistakes and have so many accidental, happy times, and then also create very intentional patterns of success, but success is determined by what I think success is, which is literally just gets back to that same thing. It's just being honest. It's like, did I honestly feel good? No. Why? It's because I was thinking about if people liked how I looked. And that took me out of listening to the song. And then I'll go back to the drawing board, and then I'll be like, okay, so don't think about what people think, Bob. Just literally tune out everything except the music. And then I'll be like, okay, that worked. That was better. It feels good. But then my eyes were closed the whole time, And so then I'll be like, okay, yes, music is great. But also there's a conversation happening across from you. There's a person across from you that you're talking to, not with words, but with your body. Don't break eye contact. Stay locked in on that one person. And like that conversation is the conversation that matters the most. And that's when I started really seeing the value of battling for my journey. Was once I got past the fear of people staring at me, and once I got past the fear of being offbeat, then I was like, oh, now I'm back to basics. I'm literally just trying to speak honestly and articulately with this person and keep my movement clean, keep my musicality on point, keep my feelings open and flowing, but don't let them deter me from the intention to communicate efficiently. Because there's logic involved. I'm not just this like pool of emotion, there's this puddle on the floor. I want to speak. I want to talk. And so battling has been so fun because I've just been like having the coolest conversations with so many people. I went to Tampa recently for She's Got It. It was an all women's 1v1 battle. And I got to top 4 and I was so ecstatic. I lost to this girl named 2Foot from Atlanta. Super cool, like popper, breaker, so effortlessly cool. And I also got to just specifically battle women. And those were the best conversations I got to witness. I got to see my friends get off to music that was so good. She's Got It was like the best event of the year, low-key. So, yeah. Battling is really fun once you let it be about human connection.
Yeah.
And music. Just let it be that.
Yeah. That's
Caring about winning ruins it. That ruins it. That's what I really wanted to say. Yeah. I can't care about winning. Winning will just happen if you do everything that matters.
That's, yeah. Like, right there, because it's funny, because you said you'll go into battles before, like, saying, like, my goal is to win, but then kind of taking it back and understanding, like, it's everything else before that. And if you don't worry about the win, that's when it comes. So, very interesting perspective, and way to tie it back is battles they're fun. It's a game. It's very raw. It's very honest. And you get to experience a human-to-human connection that you don't really get to feel or experience in any other setting. So I don't know. I thought that was really cool the way you put that.
Thanks.
Um, so, man, I appreciate you being here. I could go on really days, but I want to honor your time. There are so many questions probably that I could have continued to ask, but yeah, I really appreciate all the knowledge you just spoke, but also just hearing your story and your journey. I think for me personally, there's just so much to take away. Just not losing sight of, I think I've had that a lot where it's like, am I really doing the right thing? Is this really going to work out? But hearing the way you've gone about things it's just super inspiring and allows me to refocus and just say, yeah, it's going to work out. So thank you so much for sharing your story and being an inspiration.
Thank you. It means a lot to be heard and to I don't know, to have someone care about your story. That's a really special exchange that I don't really get too often. I don't talk to many people this long. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I know being vulnerable it's not always the easiest thing to do. So thank you so much for trusting me in the space and being vulnerable and talking about your story. So yeah. Before we do head out of here though, I do want to just hit off some rapid fire-ish questions, just some quick ones to have fun with, and then we'll just head on out.
Okay.
All right. So first question is, who is someone in your network that is up to something good and you think people should check out their stuff and even possibly have on here one of these days?
Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, shout out to my baby. Trevor Stanislaus. Oh my God, he's gonna be so mad that I use his government name. Trest. Yeah. He is the most magnificent man I've ever met. He is been a martial artist for like 15 years and has also been a freestyling artist, freestyle dance experimental artist for almost about the same amount of time. And I've never seen anybody do what he does, both in movement and infusing martial arts technique into his philosophy, into his lifestyle, and into his dance. He's an incredible educator, and he is up to so many things all the time. He's on his way to being literally the best in the world, champion. But I think the world needs to hear his story for sure. Let him speak for himself. But.
Okay. Hey, Tress, we're coming for you next. Cool. And then next question is, outside of dance, what do you like to do for fun? Like, what are some of your hobbies?
I like to hang with my kitten. I just got her 4 days ago from the side of the road at a gas station in Mississippi. Now I'm a stay-at-home kitten mom, and I love it. I work sometimes, but if I do, she comes with me. So yeah, now I'm just hanging with my cat. I never thought I'd be a cat lady, but here we are.
It was meant to be.
Yeah, no, definitely. Did you know that I don't know the statistics, how real these are, but I read on Google that orange cats are 80% male and mine's female. I don't know. I just thought I'd brag about that for a second. Continue.
No, you're cool. Oh, man. Yeah, you got a rarity right there.
Oh, yeah. You right here.
And then next one, I think you may have already answered this, but what did you want to be when growing up?
Man. Superhero. Yeah.
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, basically. Dancing superhero.
I think it's turning out to be that. So.
Yeah. Is that it?
We got one more.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
No, you're good. 5-year-old Hailey would be very proud of you right now.
Dang. She would.
And then last one is just where can people find your work and learn more about you?
On the gram, always. I'm on that way too much. But follow me. Please follow me. You don't have to, but I post a lot of my content there. I have 2 accounts. My personal is summers.hailey. And then my second one is specifically for Discovery Movement. And that's disco. And then it has like 10 underscores. And then very. And I don't know. It's in my bio. That's a better way to find it. Yeah. Discovery Movement, disco, underscore, very. That is where I post all my information about places I'm teaching, classes. I post on my stories all the places to be, to support other people in my network, friends, family that I love so much. Yeah, that's where you can connect with me. You can DM me, but I might not answer.
Well, I appreciate you sharing all that information. Be sure to check out her stuff. Again, you're an amazing mover, amazing person, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to take away just so much and be inspired through your story and the journey that you've gone to get here. Again, like honestly, there's just so much I could still ask you, but I appreciate everything that you did share. So thank you.
Thanks so much.